Welcome to 31 of our ongoing sequence of, hey, is something burning? Apparently there is something burning. It's sort of actually really fall now, so we're going to play around and do some fall-ish cocktails that are only maybe vaguely tiki related. So, yes, it's Quarantiki, but mostly we're just going to be playing around with some cocktails this evening. So hopefully that's okay with you, because that's what we're going to be doing. So here's the deal. We are going to do a classic cocktail after we have a toast. Right? Toast. We need a toast. We're going to go with a rum this evening that is freaking hard to get your hands on because it's distilled in Hawaii. Yep, that's right. Hawaii. Yeah, we rely on friends to bring this back when they go on their trips. So Kaloa, the Kaloa Dark Hawaiian rum is actually really yummy. Oh, look, we have rain outside.
We do.
Oh, that's kind of tropical. That's kind of cool. All right, so we're going to put a little back. My dear wife, we have to have something to toast.
We got rid of some cookbooks and got all that project
Oh,
done.
yeah, we over the years, we have collected a lot of cookbooks, and I have looked at a lot of cookbooks in my lifetime and collected all of them. And we decided we needed to move some things around and make some shelf space, so we decided to go through cookbooks. And, we could just take the cookbooks over to, some book dealer and get some credit for it or something. But we thought, why don't we post them online and see if anybody wants these? And turns out we know a lot of people that like to cook or bake. Yeah. And we have a lot of cookbooks that, are not going to benefit me at this point. They're going to benefit them. And so we are now in the business, I guess, of distributing books.
Yeah, distributing cookbooks.
So here's to the Lovecraft Cocktails Lending Library, I guess. Dark, caramely.
Yeah.
There's definitely, there's a ton of vanilla.
There is a ton of vanilla in that.
This makes me suspect it might be dosed just a tad.
It might be dosed just a tad.
Yeah, that's a lot of vanilla in this rum. Either that or they've done something with the casking to get the vanilla out of it. Yeah, I don't know, but it's kind
of yummy.
It is really yummy.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of dark and.
It'd be great over ice cream.
It would.
But then again, how many of my rums aren't good?
This would be really good on pound cake or with sugar cookies.
Pound cake.
Pound cake.
Oh, that's an Eddie Van Halen reference right there. Yeah, Eddie did during the Sammy Hagar era of Van Halen. Yeah, the pound cake was one of their hits.
Oh.
All right, so we're gonna make some drinks this evening. Usually, I like to have a theme. Not tonight. So these drinks just represent Pooch found some drinks he liked, wanted to do, so we're going to do those. First up, when you wander into a grocery store and you wander into the produce section, the first thing you see is a pack of really dark black, juicy blackberries. You know, A, that it's fall, and B, that you should do something with those. And since I happen to have some blackberry bitters, I thought, why the heck not? Let's make a classic cocktail using the blackberries. So what we're going to do is we are going to do a blackberry Manhattan. So I'm going to take a mixing pint here, and we're just going to toss 3-4 blackberries in there. And I'm going to go with a couple of zots of the blackberry bitters. Well, we have mildly torrential rain outside. That's kind of cool. It really adds to the atmosphere. So would a little tiki music. Hint, hint, hint.
I will take care of that.
All right, so the bitters go in. Now, a classic Manhattan is 2 ounces of bourbon or rye, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, and 2 dashes of bitters. Hence 212, the Manhattan area code. See, so easy to remember. So what we've got in there right now are the 2 dashes of bitters. We're going to go 1 ounce of a vermouth, and instead of using a dark vermouth like, any of the red vermouths, my usual go-to is the Carpano Antica. I have recently purchased a bottle of Cochi Americano, which looks like this. I purchased this so that I could do things like the Vesper Martini and the Corpse Reviver #2.
Yeah, Corpse
Um,
Reviver #2.
which are brilliantly yummy drinks. The Vesper people are torn on because one of the okay, so the Vesper cocktail was originally written by Ian Fleming for Bond. It's 3 parts gin, 1 part vodka, 1 part quina lillet, and it is shaken, not stirred. All right. So classic Vesper martini. However, the quina lillet is no longer made, and so there's all sorts of different substitutions out there. But I hear tell that the Coqui Americano does a really good imitation of the original flavors of the Vesper cocktail. So hence, I needed a bottle of the Coqui Americano. So therefore, I have a bottle of the Coqui Americano. But we're going to use that in place of the sweet vermouth, and I think that will be just fine. So we are going to go a full ounce of the Coqui Americano. Ta-da, full ounce of that. And now we're going to go ahead and muddle that. If you put too much liquid in there, sometimes it's a little hard to get the muddling right. So I like to go ahead and just do a little bit in there. And it's the Coqui Americano that's going to provide the sweetness here. And we may have to taste it and see if it needs a little more sweetness. I doubt it. I did this the other day and it was really pretty tasty. So I'm not really going to massacre these poor blackberries. Just going to mash them up a little bit. And then we're going to go 2 ounces of a rye. And here I'm using the Basil Hayden Caribbean Cask Rye. Why am I using the Basil Hayden when a spicier rye would probably be more in line? Mostly because it was the first to actually hit my hand when I went to the back room looking for ryes. And that's it. That's all I wanted. So 2 ounces there. Got that. All right, now we're going to throw some ice in here. We're going to stir this up. It's a stirred cocktail. Why is it a stirred cocktail? Well, because aside from the blackberries, which really aren't providing anything in the way of liquid, or not much in the way of liquid, everything in here is an alcohol of similar density and viscosity, so we're going to stir this rather than shake it. All right, so in order to do that, I need a bar spoon, and that's going to go in here. And you actually really want this pretty cold and sort of diluted, so we're going to go about 30 seconds here. So I'm going to chat and talk with you for about 30 seconds while we're spinning this around. So I know there's going to be the question of how do you know when it's done stirring? When you are done, when you have stirred it enough? Well, here's the general rule. Well, you put enough ice in here where it's kind of hard to move the drink around. And when the drink starts to move really, really smoothly, and you don't hear that sort of tinkling sound, then you know you've got it probably about where you want it. You can also put your hand up against it in order to tell whether or not it is as cold as you would like. Now, I do most of my cocktails shaking, and so you can tell my stirring technique is maybe not the best in the world. Your spoon should be held lightly enough for it to rotate around, hence the fact that the spoon, all the bar spoons should have a rounded body to them, so you can twirl that in your hand. And now, oh, I must have got it, because now, aside from the poor wrist action, this is really not making any sound, and it moves pretty smoothly, so I'm going to call that done. You can always pop the spoon out, tap the back of your hand, go, yeah, that's what I want. I can taste the blackberry in there. That works really well with that rye. Oh my goodness. Wow. Now this is cold enough to where I don't actually need to put a rock in here, but I may do so later if it gets a little too warm for me. So this blackish purple color that is the blackberry. I wish you could see the actual color. The color isn't really coming through here, but it's just a gorgeous dark violet color. And of course, how are we going to garnish this? We are going to garnish it with a couple of blackberries.
See if I put it against a white. No, not really.
Not really.
Okay. It's worth a try.
So you know, we're still all piratey here, so here's our pirate skull pick, and that's going to go right in there. And that, my friends, is a Blackberry Manhattan made with the Basil Hayden rye. And my wife is probably not going to like it because she
No.
doesn't like
I might
Manhattans.
come taste it, but I'm not a huge Manhattan fan.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's Manhattan.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's a decent Manhattan for a Manhattan,
Decent.
but
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
a Manhattan.
Yep. And that's fine. You know,
That's
different
important.
different folks like different things. I actually think this would be better with a different rye. A spicier rye would probably make a better one of these, but it's just a pretty drink. So we're going to go with this. I'm going to drink this, and then I have to make something for Star. Because she's sitting over there parched and dry and wanting something to drink. So here's a drink that I decided to throw on tonight's menu just because. Had no other rhyme or reason to it other than saw a picture of it. It looked really pretty, and I said to myself, my wife is going to really think that this is an awesome cocktail.
Is this
So,
one of the books that we evaluated from bookshelves?
so part of the inspiration for this was that we were going through a bunch of the cocktail books that were sitting in with the restaurant and cookbooks. And so I got stuck just paging through the cocktail books, seeing different cocktails and that sort of thing. And so we ran across this, and of course I'm going to make it my own a little bit. So this is a classic cocktail called the Silk Stocking. But instead of the Silk Stocking is normally made with, shoot, I think it's gin. I now don't remember. I'm sorry. We will look it up and get back to you what the original Silk Stocking is made with. But we are going to do the Pyratical Silk Stocking, and we are going to make it with rum. Because, have you met me? I mean, come on, right? Okay, so we're going to make it with rum. But we're going to see how this goes.
We had to bring the books that were upstairs that belong at the bar downstairs.
That's not as bad as you think. I do have an upstairs bar. Wait, is that better or worse? I don't know. But so, the Silk Stocking. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to put the Silk Stocking in a shaker. So we're going to start here. We're going to go 2 ounces of rum, 3/4 of ounce creme de cacao, some grenadine, and some heavy cream. Now, this is a drink that is going to get my wife interested because it's going to come out, if we do it right, it's going to come out a lovely pink color, right? So we're going to go with that. All right, so let's start with the grenadine first because the grenadine is, of course, the most viscous liquid here. And I've got some homemade grenadine lying around somewhere. I know I do. I pulled it out. What to do with it? There it is. I lose my brain. All right. So we go with 3/4 of an ounce of this wondrous homemade grenadine. Alisa. That's right. I think it's actually written on the wall now. Yes, Alisa. There we go. We got it. Right? Please tell us we got it. Please tell us we got it right this time. You are important to us, hence we write how to spell your name or how to pronounce your name phonetically on the wall, on the checklist of things to do for Quarantiki. All right, what else do we need? We need 3/4 of an ounce of creme de cacao, and I happen to have creme de cacao right here. Here, for this drink, you want to make sure you use the clear or white creme de cacao. Do not use the brown. The color will not be to your liking if you use the brown. 3/4 of an ounce of this. I don't know, can you guys hear the tiki music playing in the background?
You got it right.
I can. It's kind of nice. Adds a little atmosphere with the rain pouring down outside. Yeah, this is kind of pleasant. I hope you're enjoying, because I know I am. All right, so we got the grenadine, the creme de cacao. We need 2 ounces of rum. I said it's a pirate silk stocking, or a piratical silk stocking. So we're going to use some pirate rum, because I have a bottle of pirate rum. We're going to use that. Now, pirate rum is an interesting rum. Pirate rum is a lot of people's first foray into higher quality or premium rums. And if you ask most rum aficionados, Pirate's okay, it's got some problems, it's all right. But I really like Pirate for the fact that it is an approachable premium rum. So this is not going to break the bank. It is a little on the sweet side for my taste in terms of rums, but it's a great introduction. This and Diplomatico Exclusiva are my introductory rums to people that are like, I've only ever had Bacardi, what do you mean you can sip rum? So those are the gateway drugs. So Pirate will always have a soft spot in my heart for being the gateway drug that it is to the rest of the rum world. So Pirate rum, yay. So now we need some heavy cream. We're going to go also 3/4 of an ounce heavy cream. My guess is that this is going to turn out a vibrant pink, as long as it does not curdle. We don't want it to curdle. Curdling would be bad. You don't want that. It's awful. All right, we are going to throw some ice in here. I'm going to put some cubes in, and then I'm going to do some crushed ice. Please turn out pink. Please turn out pink. Please turn out pink. If it doesn't turn out pink, I'm going to be sad. All right, we're going to shake this. It's not looking very pink. All right, slight change in hearing and what it sounds like while I'm shaking. It's not as pink as I want. I'm sad. She'll be okay with it though. All right, I need my dear wife to go fetch me a glass from the freezer. There's a Pilsner glass sitting in the freezer, which is what I want to put this in. We are going to double strain it into that glass. So I need a Hawthorne strainer, and then I need a fine tea strainer, and we're going to pour that into a nice ice-cold Pilsner glass, and then she's going to drink that, because I know she's going to like it. Pink straw. Tick, tick, tick. Find it? One frozen Pilsner glass. Look at that. Nice, icy and cold. It's not as pink as I wanted. Very sad.
Oh.
I'm very sad. It's not pink. I don't know. It's kind of pinkish.
It is kind of pinkish.
All right. There's that. And this. It's all going to go to the sink. I'm going to put a little more crushed ice in there to bring that up to the top. Or at least close to it. A little more dilution. It seems a little more pinkish, doesn't it?
There it does.
We're going to stick this nice pink straw in there. And there you go. One Pyratical silk stocking.
That's yummy.
Can I call it, or can I call it, right? And away that drink goes, and I'm not going to get a single taste of it. There you go.
I'm sorry. You get a taste.
I get a taste. I get a taste. She does love me. That's why I get a taste. It's almost like a
Strawberry milk.
It's like a chocolate strawberry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's no strawberry in that. You saw what I put in there. There's no strawberry in that. That tastes like a chocolate strawberry. Wow. That's impressive. Tasty. A little sweet for me, but she's going to have a fine time with that. Another way of... we have questions?
Rebecca Hibbard and Trisha Hibbard Cassidy.
Yay! Hi guys, how are you? Hubba?
Texas? I
I
don't remember where they moved to.
I don't know. I do not know. I have friends around the world and I have a lot of trouble keeping up with wherever they are, except they're on Facebook, yay! Which allows me to keep in touch with people even if I don't know where they are. So, wherever you are, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you're having fun here. We've done Blackberry Manhattan, and we've just done a Pyratical silk stocking. One of the best sort of autumn or fall concoctions is a toddy of some sort. And a toddy is basically a cocktail that has some hot water added to it or some other hot liquid added to it. In this case, we have a storm front moving in this morning, and I had a little sinus pressure and caused a little drainage in the back of my throat. So this morning I was like, I would like something, okay, not this morning, okay, late morning, early afternoon, I wanted a toddy, something to soothe the throat a little bit. So I decided, well, I could look up various toddies, of which there are millions on the planet. But what? There's laughter. Is it at my expense? Is it?
No. Amanda,
Oh.
Keith Cook, Amanda Albert is here as
Yep.
well.
Hi, Amanda.
Elisa,
Elisa.
and Trisha
It says so. Elisa, right there. Yeah.
live in the same suburb of Austin.
Well, I foresee at some point a watching Lovecraft cocktails party, in Austin at some point, when we can actually be in the same room with other friends again. Someday that will happen. It will. And until then, we're going to drink, right? So, toddy. So, I threw this together today based on things that we had lying around, and it worked out pretty well, even on first shot. So, we're going to make one of those. Now, what this does mean is that I need some hot water, and I do keep a kettle on the bar, actually in the back room, for heating up water when I want to do warm cocktails or want to do teas and that sort of thing. I have moved that kettle out. It is sitting over here. I'm going to put some water in it and start that kettle to going. So I'm going to move this way. Oh, all right. So what are we going to do with this? So often, when I was growing up and we needed some sort of soothing hot toddy, there'd be like some lemon juice. You need that citric acid in there. You need some honey. So it was usually lemon, honey, some form of whiskey, and hot water, right? That was the usual. So I went in a slightly different direction because I thought the lemon might be a little too overpowering. So what I went with was grapefruit juice because, well, I have this great big container of white grapefruit juice that I really need to use up. Sometimes that's how cocktails happen. I have this thing I need to use up, so let's see what I can do with it cocktail-wise. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the grapefruit. Then I happen to have a fair amount of this syrup that I made up from Russian Caravan tea. So basically I made a really strong tea. I mixed in some sugar and then I let that infuse for quite a while. I mentioned this last week. So this is a 2-to-1 sugar to tea syrup. So we're going to use that. And then we need some sort of whiskey or something along those lines. Now I think you could probably use any spirit here. You could use vodka, but why? You could use gin, but you'd have to be careful about the gin that you use. Because the gins are infused with different kinds of botanicals and have very different flavor profiles, you might be risking getting something that just doesn't work with this cocktail. So I might stay away from the gin. But scotch would work, almost any whiskey would work, some rums would work. So, I mean, you're in sort of the clear here in terms of what you want to do. And this is essentially equal parts. It's equal parts grapefruit, equal parts syrup, equal part of whatever spirit you want to use. So let's go ahead and get started on that. We are just going to take this little cup right here. We're going to go an ounce. Oh, we're not going to use that because that's got cream in it. That'd be bad. So we're going to go an ounce of grapefruit. Shake this up. Yeah, I'm finding it harder and harder to get white grapefruit juice, and I just haven't been doing a lot of tiki cocktails that have grapefruit juice in them, so I haven't been using up this bottle of white grapefruit juice. So
Oh, we got mini bottles
we do. We have mini cans of white grapefruit juice
from the warehouse or the.
from the restaurant supply store, which I think is going to be great because, you know, when you can't find white grapefruit in the store and or don't have the time to squeeze them, and you usually get much more than a single cocktail's worth of grapefruit juice from a single grapefruit, so sometimes it goes bad. You know, this, you know, is relatively pure grapefruit juice. White grapefruit juice, water, white grapefruit juice. It's made from concentrate, but still, I mean, that's it. That's all that's in here. So, you know, that's okay. I do need 2 ounces of some sort of spirit for this. So, dear wife, what do you want? What would you like in this toddy? You want some scotch? You want a blended scotch?
Yeah.
You hit the back and we do the White Walker.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't we do that? All right, so we have some White Walker blended scotch.
Yeah,
And
we got it at a white elephant.
we got it at a White Elephant Party because we're awesome. So we're going to do that. Put that in here. Do. I also mentioned the White Walker because it's a really distinctive bottle, so it's easy to find in the back room. Ta-da! Johnny Walker, White Walker. It does say freeze for an unexpected icy reveal. It actually changes the bottle and the image on the bottle, which is kind of nifty if you freeze it. So we're going to do 1 ounce of that. Now, if grapefruit isn't to your liking,
Or your drug compatibility.
or drug compatibility, I would suggest going with, say, orange juice instead, but you want to kick up the citric component of that. So I would go orange juice with maybe a little lemon juice added to it. I would not use lemon or lime juice as the sole acid component for this because it's just going to be way too biting. You can, but in which case I would just cut it back to half. So in this case of where I'm using 1 ounce or 1 part, I would use half part of either lime or lemon instead of doing a full part. So we're going to stir this. There is no point, none at all, in shaking this with ice or anything else because we're going to pour hot water into this. Again, tap here. Yeah, that's really nice. One of the advantages of using the tea syrup is that it essentially changes this into a tea drink with citric acid and sweetness already added with a little bit of boof from the alcohol. All right, so we've got the hot water over there. I'm going to take one of these nifty mugs. See these mugs? Yeah. Yep. These were handcrafted for us, and so we love our friends that make us stuff because, you know, we feel totally unworthy and undeserving. But as long as you're going to make us stuff, we're going to show it off on our show. So there you go. So we're just going to pour that right in here. And then I would love to tell you what proportion of hot water to use, but I won't, because this is a to taste kind of thing. If you are giving this to somebody that isn't really a huge fan of, you know, say Scotch flavor, then maybe what you would want to do is use a different liquor. But let's assume that they're okay with Scotch, but they're not a huge fan, so you don't want to overpower them with the alcohol. Then you'll use more hot water. Or you might use less hot water if they're, you know, looking for something with a little more hooch forward element. I said hooch, not pooch. So this is hot water now. Let's go in here. I'm just going to fill that right up. And then I think a nice addition to this would be a quick little twill of lemon peel, which will, in fact, pop the citric flavor of this just a little bit more. So you go there, twist that, drop that in there, and what do you know? You have an original hot toddy. Now, here's a dirty little secret up from Pooch's past. Somewhere along the line, relatively soon after my family got a microwave, we got a cookbook for microwave recipes, you know, of course, like you do. And one of those recipes was for microwaving grapefruit. I know it sounds completely weird, but basically, the recipe said, cut your grapefruit in half, sprinkle it with some brown sugar, and stick it in a bowl in a microwave, and microwave it for, God, I don't know how long it was. It's been too long ago.
Low power early
Low power early microwaves, right. And what it did is it kind of melted the sugar into the top of the grapefruit. And surprisingly enough, the warm grapefruit taste was really actually very, very nice. And so in some ways, that's the inspiration for this, is warm morning grapefruit. Although, I didn't exactly have scotch in it at the time. This is pretty hot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stick a straw in here, however. I'm going to stir this just a tad.
Got Danielle.
Hi, Danielle. How are you? All right, we're going to drop some of this, and then we're going to test whether or not my heat-sensitive palate can handle this. Yep. Oh, that's quite delightful, actually.
Oh, I smell it, because it's probably too hot to drink.
It's too hot to drink. The straw thing worked just fine for it. You could also drop a cinnamon stick in there, or some cloves, and some cloves. In fact, why don't I drop a cinnamon stick in there? Not that big a cinnamon stick. Jeez, these massive cinnamon sticks back here. We're just going to put that in there.
Mm.
And especially on a cold, damp day.
Yummy.
Yeah. Did I do good? I did good. Yeah. So there you go. That is an original toddy by Mr. Picucci. There you go. Ta-da. And at some point, one of us is going to drink that.
Well, I'm giving you a chance, and then I'm going to take it away.
Right. Okay. So we're just going to pop that in there, and you're eventually going to drink that at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's drinkable at this point. It's cool enough. Right. All right. But I've got a Manhattan over here that I'm drinking. So I was a little worried that coming off of the
Sweet.
the silk stocking, which is very sweet and creamy, that maybe some grapefruit juice would be a bad thing. But no, that actually works really well. So you don't have to have the alcohol in there to make a toddy, but especially if what you're doing is, here, I would like you to sleep for another couple of hours. A little bit of alcohol in there is probably a good thing, right? So there you go. There's a toddy. There's your cold weather medicine. Oh, and by the way, I'm feeling much better now today. So it was just adjusting to the pressure difference and that sort of thing, dealing with a little postnasal drip from sleeping wrong or whatever. So there you go. I'm feeling much better. The toddy helped me, and now the toddy is going to help my wife. I'm going to have another sip of the Manhattan. How y'all doing? I feel like I'm racing through this thing and not stopping and talking with anybody or doing anything. Oh, it's true. As Star points out, I'm not making drinks that require 16 different ingredients and 3 different steps and that sort of thing. But I am making drinks that have blackberries in them, blackberries that have been soaking in alcohol. So, oh my God. The reason that I elected to go with this last drink is because when it hits fall, the fall and winter fruit is really the apple, right? And things like cinnamon apples, baked apple pie, things along those lines. We did an apple drink last week. We did one that used apple brandy or Calvados. But I was struck by the fact that here is this jar of stuff that that I tend to only dig out during autumn and spread on toast, and that's apple butter. I don't tend to eat apple butter year round. I only eat it during the fall and winter for some reason. It just seems like it's a seasonal thing. Who knew that there are cocktail recipes that use apple butter? It kind of makes sense. I mean, you've got both the apple flavor to it that is going to lend itself to the cocktail, but it also has the spice component, right? Because it's a spiced apple spread. It's not just a plain spread. Our last drink that we're going to do is, in fact, a drink that makes use of apple butter as a primary ingredient, well, primary, secondary ingredient, supporting ingredient in the cocktail. But again, we don't have to get into that immediately. Oh, Pooch, have you ever messed with pisco, either from Peru or Chile? Dear wife,
Is it in the back?
over there, next to the Carpano Bianco bottle. Yes.
Oh, that's right.
So David asks whether or not I've ever messed with pisco. How could I not with a bottle that looks like this? I mean, this is like straight up Easter Island kind of bottle here. So yeah,
On the back, it's got it.
and this is Tres Eres Pisco. So yeah, I have ever made a few different pisco sours and variations on the pisco sour, I I got to admit, I've had a few pisco sours, and they were quite lovely, and I quite enjoy them. But it's not something that I would normally stock on my bar until I saw this bottle, and I'm like, I need to have that bottle for my bar. So yeah, that's why I stock pisco. Not so much because pisco sours are a part of my everyday life, but because I really love this bottle. So yeah, yes, I have played around with pisco sours. You can use pisco in other cocktails as well, but it's mostly known for the sour. And the pisco sour is straight out of the sour family, right? It is pisco, a citrus acid of some sort, usually lemon, sometimes lime, some sweetness, whatever that sweetness might be, some form of syrup, and in the case of the classic pisco sour, an egg white to get that foaming effect, and that's your pisco sour. So it's no different from any other sour, like a whiskey sour, which classically has an egg white added as well. So you're just swapping out the whiskey for pisco, essentially. Right. Let's see, what else? What do you got? Other questions? So he also does not drink.
We were talking about
okay,
kids.
right,
Big old
kids,
stuff.
right? Okay. Hello, other people showing up. Yeah, I'm having to strain a little bit to see the comments, but at least I can see the comments. What the heck? Something's up with my eyes. They're better this year. This week.
This week.
So maybe I'm less stressed. Yay!
You think?
Yeah, I also got sleep. I got sleep for 2 nights straight. I actually got like 8 hours of sleep. So, yay! Howdy.
Bonito Johns.
Bonita Johns? Howdy. Let's see. So, what else are we doing? We have one more cocktail this evening. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in on this cocktail, and you can think of additional questions or anything that you wanted to ask me while I'm making this strange cocktail that is made with apple butter. Now, you can use homemade apple butter, or you can just buy a jar of apple butter. Musselman's has no high fructose corn syrup in it, if you care. So that's what we're going to be using, because this is what we have on hand for apple butter. And yummy, I like me some apple butter as the evenings get cooler. So what is this drink called? So this drink was... what?
Bonito Johns asked what is smoking off to the side.
What is smoking? We always have some incense burning just for atmosphere. Now, I know you can't smell it, but I can, and it adds a little wispy smokiness to the environment. And yeah, it's pretty much an ongoing joke of, hey, what's burning? The incense is burning. Sometimes there are other things burning. I do tiki drinks that have large flames coming off of them on occasion. So yeah, sometimes it's not the only thing that's burning.
Shout out to Flint Candle Company Incense.
Ah, yes, Flint Candle Company. All right, so what is this drink called? This drink is called Newton's Law. Newton, apple fall on his head, hence the Newton's Law cocktail, right? Which is much better than calling it like the calculus or something like that, which would make no sense whatsoever. Now, I was befuddled by this cocktail when I was reading the instructions for it, because it starts with a teaspoon of dark brown sugar and then a teaspoon of hot water. And it says, pour the hot water over the teaspoon of dark brown sugar, and then stir to mix. That's the start of the cocktail. Like, that's just sugar syrup, dude. You're making sugar syrup to start with. Why don't we just use sugar syrup? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to ignore that futzing. And then it's got bourbon and lemon juice and apple butter. So it's kind of a sour, right? I mean, it's got some sweetness in it. The sweetness is coming from the syrup and from the apple butter. And then it's got lemon juice. And then it's got bourbon. So it's a bourbon sour. But it's got apple butter. Now, I got to say, I've not made this drink yet. So, you know, if it turns out gloppy and nasty, it's not my fault. It is the fault of one Maggie Hoffman, who first penned this this drink in a book called The One Bottle Cocktail, published in 2018. So not a very old cocktail here. And I got the recipe off of the Epicurious website. So we're going to blame Maggie Hoffman if this doesn't work out right. But I'm pretty sure, you know, if Epicurious is putting it on their website, it's probably got a decent track record. So we'll see what we can do here. First of all, we need 2 teaspoons of syrup. I got all sorts of syrups and stuff around. So what are we going to do? You could use grenadine, for goodness sake, but I'm going to go ahead and use the Russian Caravan tea syrup because I think that will add some deeper notes to it that will be quite nice. So here is a teaspoon. Need 2 of those. You know what I should do is actually scoop out the apple butter first, because man, that's going to be a pain to get out of this spoon. All right, so there's 2 teaspoons of our syrup. And why am I putting 2 in there? Well, because the recipe says 1 teaspoon brown sugar, 1 teaspoon water, hence 2 teaspoons, right? So that's why we're doing that. All right, what's next? Hot water, we don't need the hot water. Oh, I should point out, in case any of you were saying, well, yes, but they said hot water. So clearly there's a heat component to this. Except they said after mixing the hot water and the brown sugar, set it aside to cool. I no clue. I just don't know. Just specify brown sugar syrup and you're good. All right, so there's our start. Now we need some lime or some lemon juice. And oh, that was one thing I was going to do this evening. I was going to show you when I'm not doing massive amounts of juicing. I'm just using a hand juicer to just get a couple of lemons or limes juiced. My standard rig is I have this kind of little, almost an egg cup kind of thing here, right? And I have a tea strainer that fits right on that. Just sits right there like that. And then I will take your little hand press, take a lemon or a lime, whatever. I actually like to cut the tops off. I think I get a little more juice out of it when I'm doing the hand squeezing this way. And as a special bonus, you're not squeezing into the pith on the top. And you really want to try and avoid getting as much of that real pithy, bitter oil into your lemon or lime juice. So you don't want to squeeze really too hard either. See, there you go. Got some juice. That goes over here. Pop that. There you go. You're ready for the next lime slice or lemon slice. Do that again. Turn aside. Pop. And we're done. And we've got lemon juice to spare. And if you look in there, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there is definitely some pulp and some seed bits and that sort of thing. And you just don't want those in your citrus. All right, so what do we need? We need some portion of lemon juice, and I don't remember how much. Half ounce. All right, so half ounce. Traditionally, I would bottle this at this point. So why don't I actually do that? I'm going to disappear for just a second because all my empty bottles are down here. Here we go. We're disappearing. Oh my gosh, where did he go? Where did Pooch go? Oh no. Here's a bottle. Got it. Handy dandy things to have around your bar. Funnels. Little mini funnels. Love them. Keep me sane. This just pours in here. If you really want to be super, super clean about your lemon or lime juice. You can always double strain it at this point. You can put it through this tea strainer again, or really, you could put some cheesecloths through there as well. But I think that's maybe overkill in this. So half ounce lemon juice. No, I'm not eyeballing it. There's actual marks on the inside of this that tell me that that's a half ounce. I find that that's much more convenient and much more accurate and reproducible than trying to just eyeball it and go, oh, right about there's the halfway point. Because I'm not good enough to know that it's the same halfway point that where I think it's the halfway point. All right, so the bourbon, what are we going to use for bourbon? Dear friend Connie came and visited us a couple years back and brought some bourbons with her and some wine. And so this is beer barrel bourbon from New Holland Artisan Spirits. And there's like a wyvern, like a legless dragon with wings on the printed on the casks here, which is pretty darn cool if you ask me. And this is a nice bourbon, so this should work out really, really well. All right. Yep, that's the smell I remember. What did I say? Ounce and a half? Anyone remember? Ounce and a half. Yes, ounce and a half. I probably didn't say. All right. Usually, I've got speed pourers in all of these to make this a little easier and faster. Obviously, I did not do that this evening. Sue me. Just have to bear with me being a little more cautious on how I pour. It's a little harder to be exacting when you don't have a speed pourer. And honestly, I know they're called speed pourers, but I find it's much more easy to get an even pour. I'm much less worried about the speed and much more concerned about the accuracy. And so that's the primary reason why I put speed pourers on my alcohol. All right, let's see, what we got? I still have a little of the Koloa rum, so I'm just going to down that because it's here. I got to do it. Oh man, that vanilla is so pronounced in that. I mean, it is just, what'd you do? Jump vanilla extract into that rum? Wow. If they get that just from the wood, I'm going to be amazed. That is really, yeah, that's, you know what would be really good with that rum? Well, a really good use of that rum would be rum balls. That would be, those would be some yummy, yummy darn rum balls. And it's the season. 'Tis the season for rum balls. No speed pourer. I want a full refund on my entry fee. You got it. It's on its way. All right. So we're going to throw some ice in here. But before we do that, right, the principal ingredient, the reason I wanted this cocktail, apple butter. I don't know, guys. I really don't. We're going to find out. 2 full teaspoons of apple butter here. Cinnamony, spicy, appley. It's like really, really thick applesauce. I'm wondering what this is going to do to the consistency of the cocktail. I really am. But we'll find out. You know, you and me together, venturing into the darkness. Here, we're going to just... I'm not using this teaspoon for anything else, so we're just going to use it to rinse out. Get all the apple butter out of there. There you go, that goes in the sink. Then we are going to add ice to this. No we're not. No we're not. See, if I put ice in there and then I shake it, then what's going to happen is it's going to sit there with ice. And I will need to be making a garnish for this cocktail. And while I am making the garnish for the cocktail, the ice will be continuing to dilute. So I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do is make a garnish real quick with an apple. Newton, here's your apple. All right, I need a knife. Fortunately, I have a knife. Cutting board. Got all sorts of cutting boards around here. What are we going to do for a garnish? Well, what I'm going to do is just do, in the center here, just cut a nice wheel out of the apple. And then we will have apple this evening to taste. Just going to put a cut right there. And then this is going to just sit over the glass edge. Now, apples, as you well know, will turn brown over time. And so if you don't want your apple to turn brown while you are dealing with your customers, what you can do is take some of that lemon juice that you had and just pour a little of the lemon juice over the apple. And the lemon juice will, in fact, keep that apple from browning for at least a little while. Not forever, but a little while. So we're going to do both sides of that. Not that I expect this apple to be around very long, but yeah, we're going to do that. And we're not doing, you know, a huge fancy garnish, but at least we'll have some garnish on here. I'm sure, so there are times where you look at a recipe and you go, oh, that's a great idea, that'll be cool. And there are times where you look at a recipe and you go, not in your life, ain't doing that, nope. One of the recipes that I was looking at today that used apple butter to make what they called their apple old fashioned. And I'm okay, I'm fine with that, right? So they're talking you through garnishing your glass with a little cinnamon sugar around the edge and making it look all pretty. And they wanted it served over crushed ice, and I was like, okay, crushed ice, old fashioned, seems a little weird to me, but all right, I'm willing to go with it. And then the last instruction for garnishing the drink was to spoon some apple butter over the crushed ice. And I'm like, no, bad idea. Nope, you're just going to get these glops of brown stuff that are just going to be dripping to the bottom of your glass. Why would you do that? Yeah, I didn't even need to do it to know that's not going to work. So here we go. What? Oh, what do we got? Kahlua Kauai dark rum, a version of their white rum with added caramel color and flavors. So there you go. It's got vanilla added to it. Yay! Chalk one up to my taste buds. All right. What do I need? And in case you're wondering, you're like, oh, well, then you should definitely never use it in case of, in place of black rum. You absolutely should, because what do you think Gosling's is? Gosling's is a white rum that has had caramel coloring and flavoring added to it. Yeah.
Drink what you like, know what you drink.
Drink what you like, but know what you're drinking, right? All right, so we're going to put some ice in here. I'm going to go with some crushed ice in this case. And a couple of big agitator cubes. Big, normal ice cube size ice cubes. We're going to lid this up. Lid it up. This work. And shake, shake, shake. All right, here we go. Oh. Pretty darn cold. Getting some frost there. Instructions for this cocktail say shake 30 seconds. I gotta believe that's a little excessive, unless they really want a lot of dilution, in which case they probably don't like their bourbon. So we're gonna run a finger through here and go. That's awful. I should not subject anyone else to that cocktail. No, actually, that's remarkably tasty. So we're going to put that in a tall glass. Right here, I'm going to stick a spoon. I'm going to stick a straw in there to start with. One straw.
Straw is hard to...
She doesn't like that straw. All right. So we're going to go with a different straw. Surfside sip straw. Sure, why not? We'll do a tentacle. How's that? Tentacle straw. See? Tentacle straw. Da, da, da. It's got little tentacle spots on it. You want to show that off?
Sure.
She'll show it off.
Surfside sips.
I'm going to drink a Manhattan.
Glass straws. 20% off.
Fancy stuff. 20% off if you mention Lovecraft Cocktails.
Password Lovecraft.
Right. So the redemption code for the 20% off is just capital LOVECRAFT. So essentially, you mention us, and you get 20% off on your Surfside set.
Matt McIntosh.
Hey, Matt, how are you? We're going to do this. Just dump that in there. What do you know? Almost to the top. Great. You can put that in the sink for me. I'm going to top that off a little. Some more crushed ice. More crushed ice. Now we're going to stick our apple slice on the side here as our garnish. Dun, dun, dun. It's not a Macintosh apple, but you know, I'm Matt anyway. Poor guy, probably having to deal with that for his entire life, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a taste.
Okay.
The crushed ice is a little hard to get through that straw, but I want you to tell me whether or not you think that would benefit from the addition of a little allspice dram.
Yes.
A little allspice dram?
Little allspice dram.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let's not just freehand this in. That would be bad, right? Wouldn't necessarily be bad, but could be a little much. Now, I'm all for, or I'm all against the idea of just pouring in globs of the apple butter, because I just think that would be disgusting. But I got no problem with floating a little bit of allspice dram across the top here. At the very least, that is going to change the olfactory component of this. Do you want a different straw? This is a little hard to get crushed ice through.
No,
You got it?
I got it.
Okay, there you go. Apparently she likes that cocktail.
Oh, that helps.
That helps?
Yeah. Taste that before I take it away.
Yeah, and it's only going to get stronger. I mean, essentially, the allspice dram is just kicking up the notes from the apple butter, because I mean, you think about it, the apple butter has got your sort of the same sort of spice profile, right? Sugar, spices, and the spices they list primarily are cinnamon and clove. Well, what do you think is primarily an allspice dram? It's cinnamon and clove and various other things. But yes, it's just kicking up the flavors of the apple butter.
Matt wants to come drink in January.
Feel free. Come on. No problem. We may have to socially distance, but, you know, I got a stick. I can push a glass to you that's, you know, and we can retain 6 feet apart. No problem. Salud. So there you go. We've done 4 cocktails tonight. I have ripped through this. This has been amazingly fast for me this evening. We're just now hitting the hour mark. Wow, that's really quick. So we did a Blackberry Manhattan using Coqui Americano in place of the vermouth. We did a Pyratical version of the Silk Stocking that disappeared rather quickly. Tasted kind of like chocolate strawberry to me, so I knew I wasn't going to see that drink after I had its first taste. And then what did we do? We did the hot rum toddy, or hot, what did I do? Hot toddy. What did I put into it? I put the
Whiskey.
the White Walker, right. I put scotch in it. I blended scotch, and that worked out really, really well. And then the last thing we did was the Newton's Law, which I got to say, you know, from Epicurious, that seems to have worked out, although, you know, it's just weird putting apple butter in a cocktail, but it seems to have worked out nicely. I didn't notice any change in the mouthfeel. You know, if you think about what you're essentially doing here is a sour, was it a thicker consistency? Did it have a heavier mouthfeel than a typical bourbon sour? Not so much. And because the allspice dram is such in that same flavor profile as the apple butter, I wonder if you can't get, you know, 90% of the flavor of that same cocktail, the Newton's Law, by just doing a bourbon sour and adding a little allspice dram to it. It would probably be pretty close to that flavor. But, you know, as long as you got apple butter, have it on a piece of toast and have yourself a merry little Newton's Law cocktail to go along with it. That wouldn't be bad, right? I mean, so it's for breakfast. What the heck? We're headed into the holidays. Have fun. Alrighty,
We're
so
not driving anywhere.
we certainly aren't driving anywhere. Yes, yeah. All of the holiday plans are canceled. So that's kind of a bummer. But hey, guys, so I'm done for the evening. I've mixed up my cocktails. You certainly don't want to sit around watching me clean up around here. But I am perfectly willing to answer questions or chat at you about, well, pretty much anything that's happening in and around the world or the cocktail world. Um, what other things happened in the cocktail world recently? We ran across like
We did the two
oh, that's right.
classes.
We did two classes this week. One was from a group in Ohio, right? Underground Tiki, I think it was, that was talking about the use of whiskey in tiki cocktails, and that was mostly mostly a discussion of whiskey, various types of whiskey, differences between bourbon and rye, and that sort of thing. And toward the end, they touched on some of the prominent drinks that have bourbon or whiskey in them in the tiki canon. And that was fine. And, maybe if we're ever journeying through Ohio, through the Akron area, yeah, okay.
On our way to Max's.
On our way to Max's, yeah, that's a distinct possibility, actually. We're on the way back from Max's. We'll stop in and say hi and that sort of thing. The other one was out of San Francisco, and it was talking about San Francisco and in general, sort of the West Coast's influence on tiki. As you may know, tiki started on the West Coast. It started in San Francisco and Los Angeles. Trader Vic started in the San Francisco area, and Beachcomber,
On the beach.
Don Beach, right? Don the Beachcomber started in Southern California in the Hollywood area. And so, that's where tiki comes from. And they chronicled, the rise of tiki and the fall of tiki, and then started to touch on the West Coast's role in sort of bringing back tiki, and some of the meccas that existed, still exist in San Francisco, and hopefully will continue to exist. And touched a little bit on the connection between the revival of tiki and the revival of craft cocktails. Started with some of the issues associated with tiki, issues of cultural appropriation, that sort of thing. Can we still appreciate tiki when it has connotations of colonialism and that sort of thing to the Polynesian peoples or to the peoples of Polynesia? And it's not an easy question. Gosh, I love me some tiki. It would feel a little awkward to me to have to give up the word tiki and refer to it as tropical. But at the same time, I'm not the one whose culture is being used here. However, I think they had a very good point, which is that tiki, as we know it in the United States, American tiki, isn't Polynesian culture and makes no attempt to be Polynesian culture. It is an entirely made-up ersatz culture for the United States and for cocktailing. And while it uses some of the iconography and the like, it makes no attempt to say that it is accurately representing the community or the peoples. And quite frankly, if you get really into tiki and are enjoying it, go delve into the history and learn more about the peoples of Polynesia, because it'll only make you better at being, well, a person and a tiki bartender. And, that's the best way that we can honor the people that gave some of their iconography to the stuff that we love. So there we go. How about, I'll step off the soapbox at that point, and we will, as Matt says, put a fork in it. Wait, I got one of those somewhere, right? This fork?
Yep.
Nope, that's a spoon. Fork. We're going to put a fork in it. So there you go. This is Quarantiki number 31 coming at you from Lovecraft Cocktails. Signing off. Till next week, have yourself a merry little drink.